The purpose of this meeting tonight is really to talk about the transition from McKay to FES-UA. And so the scholarship has gone through multiple changes over the last couple of years. And so I just want to start out by saying, as the state of Florida, we're very thankful that the state helps us at all, helps you guys at all to make it possible for your student to be able to go to school here. Having said that, there's going to be some glitches, okay? We just know that. We know that it's going to be a little bit of a bumpier ride. You're used to pulling up. Nancy comes running out with her clipboard and you sign the check and that's all you have to do. Well, that's not going to happen. So the purpose of the Florida Empowerment Scholarship for Unique Abilities is really to give ownership back to the family. And so through that, it's a little bit of a confusing process because we've really helped you along the way with McKay, and we can't see a lot of what you see. So some of the questions that you guys are asking me, I don't know. I can't see your account, I can't log on to your account, and I don't have the information. And so, but saying that, we have some great resources at Step Up, and we are working through some of the issues one by one. And so while it might be glitchy at first, I have every confidence that you all will be funded and that the funding will happen. It's just going to be a time factor as to when it does occur. So some of the differences with McKay and with FES-UA, when you had McKay, I logged you into the Department of Education and I assigned you to a school, our school, and the checks came to us and that was the end of it. Right now, the DOE Step Up does not know what school you are part of because we don't register you to a school. So this is truly an education savings account as opposed to a scholarship, meaning that the fund goes to an account in your student's name, not your personal bank account, but an account at Step Up with your student's name on it, and there are monies allocated for you to decide how you are going to spend them on your student. Great for you, a little scary on this side. And so, we want you to remember that this is not money in addition to tuition. That has been a misconception by some families that, oh, we get this FES-UA and that's an addition to McKay. It is not. So it is replacing it. And so remember that tuition is your primary responsibility in using the FES-UA funds. And so if you decide that you're going to go, because you'll see a lot of marketing from Step Up, and I'm getting pinged like crazy, so yes. I don't know if people are...
I am seeing questions now.
Okay, yeah, okay, good, yeah. Good. So, there is something called the, I wish I could remember the name, I apologize, but on the Step Up website, there's a shopping center that you can go to and identify different vendors and items that you can purchase. If you have $10,000 in funding and you decide you're going to go purchase a new iPad for your student, you can do that, but that's deducted from the monies that are then available when we invoice for your tuition. So what will happen is that each quarter, your funds are deposited quarterly. We will invoice Step Up for Students under your student's name for a quarter of the tuition that for a quarter of the funds that you are receiving, okay? We don't get that money until you log on, you see that invoice, you have to go on and authorize that payment, and then we see the funds deposited into our account. So the responsibility is totally on you for that payment to occur. Please remember we're operating a business for your student. And so please authorize those in a timely manner. We will email all families once they have been Step Up has been invoiced to let you know. You will also receive an invoice from Step Up for Students to let you know that there has been an invoice against your student's account. What I'm hearing from families is that they're not receiving those, that they are ending up going to spam. So please confirm that you are getting emails from Step Up for Students. If you don't and you get one from us, still log on to your account and you'll go to the account activity tab, and you will find the invoice that's pending, look at it, say, oh my gosh, they just did a beautiful job, and they'll approve it, and then approve it for us. If you don't do that after 2 weeks, we have to do it over. And we have to individually enter 212 accounts, so please don't make us do it a second time, okay? What else do I want to say to you about that? There have been, we are tracking all of you. You've heard me ask for your letters that you got from Step Up saying that you've been approved for funding. None of you have funding in your account yet. It will still say that it is pending, or it says that you are authorized, but when you are funded, your letter will change, your status eligibility will change to funded. Okay, at that point, they will tell you what your funding amount is. We know what it is, you need to know what it is. There are at least 4 different categories. Those categories include Gardner students who are grandfathered in from 2021, McKay 253 students who are grandfathered in from 2021, new FES-UA students, FES-UA 254s, FES-UA 255, and then we can throw in everybody who's from a different district because every district has a different funding level. So you need to know what your funding level is and what your matrix is, because we are counting on our wonderful Department of Education to get it right. And so every faith that they're going to do this. But it's 35,000 students that they're transitioning over. And so it's an enormous job. And so as in anything else that is important to you, and this is very important to make sure that your students receiving the funding that they should receive, you need to know, am I grandfathered in? Okay, I know that my funds should be this. So that when you get that change of status and you have an amount posted, you can go, okay, we're good. Or if it's not, then you need to figure out, you need to let me know and I can help direct you. You can call Step Up for Students and say, no, I'm supposed to be grandfathered in. I should be getting $2,500 more than what I'm getting now. So if you don't know your matrix, ask me, I probably do. If you don't know if you're grandfathered in, if you basically had a scholarship prior to 2021, then you're grandfathered in and your funding stays the same until your child is 22 years of age. Okay, it does not change unless we can have some wonderful things happen in Tallahassee.
So it's the same amount as last year?
Same amount as last year if you're 253. Okay, yes?
When you're funded, is it, because you said the bills are going to come quarterly, do they do it every quarter? I mean, is it, if the whole amount is there at the beginning?
No, they will deposit quarterly. We will invoice quarterly.
Do you want to repeat the question so everybody?
Yes, I'm sorry. The question was, is the entire education savings account deposited at the beginning of the year? And it is not. It is deposited quarterly. Yes.
Do you know our funding levels right now?
I do.
Okay. And they're okay?
Yes.
For our particular case, it still says eligible
Okay.
for award. It does not say awarded.
Okay. Nobody says awarded yet.
Okay,
Okay.
thank goodness.
Yeah. So I know there's a little. Almost every one of you have a different message in your portal, and I realize that, and it makes it very confusing, especially if you're talking to each other, because it makes you panic. So we have parents that are being told that they're waitlisted. They're not waitlisted, but the Department of Education is the one who has to approve the eligibility. So right now, Step Up for Students is in the process of sending everybody through the DOE. And the DOE is saying, yes, they were in public school, they are not in the CAP. Yes, they were a McKay student, they're not in the CAP, and they're approving everybody right now. Once that happens, which will probably be, honestly, mid-August. Yes.
So the differences between the tuition and the funding, would those also be paid quarterly, or would they be paid whatever we set it up as, like once a month or?
So great question, thank you. The question was the payments that are in excess of the education savings account, is that paid quarterly or how is that set up? So when you set up your FACS account, you have the option of picking one payment, two payments, a 10 or an 11-month payment plan. That is completely separate from what happens with Step Up. So whatever payment plan you chose to pay the difference remains intact. So you would be making monthly payments if that's what you chose.
Okay, so it's the same.
Yes, that's the same.
Do you happen to know how we go about, so currently money is allocated for homeschool program, because it was homeschooled for 2 years. How do I change that back to you guys? I've tried calling, it's
Sure.
not going anywhere.
Sure. The question was, if my student is homeschooled, how do I change that money to be allocated to a certain school? You don't need to do that. So basically the funds are coming to you as a savings account, and then you're just approving the invoices from whoever submits an invoice. Yes.
If your account, I guess we were basically grandfathered in
Okay.
under the Gartner. So if your account already has a balance or funds in it, are we able to transfer that over to be included into the?
Absolutely. So the question was, if you were Gardner or if you were FES-UA last year and had funds, you were homeschooling and have a balance in your account, that balance rolls over from year to year, and can you use those funds? Yes, but we don't know that you have it. So you need to communicate that to Allison Mitchell at Mitchell at North Florida School, and let her know that you want those funds to be applied towards the difference in your tuition. Otherwise, we're going to send you a letter for the entire difference. Okay? Somebody else had a question? You want to read me some of the questions?
Yeah.
And again, if you are at home and you need to text a question, you can text it to Kim Namey's phone number at 904-571-6104.
We have chat
And
questions
it looks like
too.
it's chat.
Oh,
so
we
do
do have chat
And I have some
questions.
text questions.
Excellent, okay.
So will we have totals at the beginning of the year so we can pay the balance not covered at one time and not quarterly?
Yes, so the question is, will there be totals at the beginning of the year so that we can have balances to pay at one time? The answer is yes. We are working on those letters to go home. We're hoping by the end of this week that we will have all of those letters, which will tell you what your, I started to say McKay, your FES-UA amount is, what the difference is, and if there's financial aid that you applied for, that would be in there as well.
There was a question about financial aid. Yes, we will have it again. It'll be on the letter.
Yes.
Someone has not received their acceptance letter from Gardner.
So the question is, someone has not received their acceptance letter from Gardner. There should not be a acceptance letter per se. If you log onto the portal of your student's account and look at status, it will tell you your eligibility status. It should either say pending or what's some of the other things it says? Eligible, yeah, pending or eligible is what the two things you want it to say. If it doesn't say that, feel free to call me, 724-8323. My extension is 1065, and talk with me and we can look at that together.
How do we know what our amount is supposed to be?
So if you were a grandfathered in student, your amount is exactly the same as it was last year. I don't want to read all the amounts because if somebody's from a different district, we could be here all over. I don't want to give incorrect information if they don't hear that. So FES-UA has a link in their parent handbook. So if you log on to Step Up for Students, there's a link in the parent handbook that tells you the current funding amount. So if you're a 254 or 255, that amount is in there. If you're grandfathered in, that amount is the same as it was last year. Okay? That's the easiest way to tell you that.
I've received my letter and sent it to Deb and Allison. However, I continue to get emails from Step Up telling me it's time to apply. Is there something I'm missing, or do I need to do something else, or is it one of those glitches?
It's one of those glitches. So if we have your letter and you have given us a student ID number, and again, the student ID number is not your application number. So if you want to, just for your own, just to feel better, check your account, log into the account activity and make sure that you see a student ID number. And if that has happened, then we're good. If not, call me.
So one of the statuses says continuing.
If your status says continuing, it would only say that if your student is aging out of the program. So if they are 22 and still have funds and it's rolling over, it would be a continuing status. If you are under the age of 22 and your status says continuing, you need to let me know that so that I can email and have that corrected.
We have one more not related to this, so I'll hold that.
Okay. Dave, do you have any
She
others?
said all of them.
Awesome. Okay. What other questions do you guys have here? Yes.
So the funding should remain the same if let's say a student is coming from McKay to...
I can't.
If the student is coming from McKay to FES-U, the funding should remain the same as the last year. But if the funding shows less, what is the next step?
So you were McKay last year. The question is, if the funding on your account shows less than what it was last year, what should you do? So you were McKay last year? Okay. So were you a 254 or a 253?
3 years.
A 3. Okay. If you, I don't know if you guys recall this, but if you logged into McKay last year, all of the 253s had an incorrect funding amount associated with it. It had the new funding levels. It was great fun, I'm telling you. It should state, I would probably get on the chat, log on to your account and get on the chat and let them know that you are a grandfathered student and that your account is reflecting the new funding amounts and that you should be grandfathered in at $11,089, I believe.
Okay.
Okay.
When will the first quarterly funds deposit?
Great question. When will the first quarterly funds deposit? We are told that Step Up for students should get them within the first week of August. They have a period of time from which to process that and to cross-check with the DOE that none of your students are enrolled in public school. So I would say probably mid-August is when we will start to do invoicing.
How do we apply for financial aid separate from Step Up?
How do you apply for financial aid separate from Step Up? If you log into your FACS account, there's a separate link that you can go to apply for financial assistance from North Florida School as well. Though the deadline has passed for that, so we will do what we possibly can. Awesome. Okay, so here's the fun part, and why I really needed you guys here, because that was a lot of information. As I've indicated, we can't see your accounts. We don't know how much money you have. So out of really a trusting relationship between both of us and to protect everybody, we've come up with what's called an FES-UA directive, which is simply a statement that says, my student blank, fill in the name, is a recipient of the Florida Empowerment Scholarship for Unique Abilities and has an assigned matrix level of fill in the blank. The allocated funding amount is for the 22-23 school year. Tuition is $17,850, and I understand that the funds will be dispersed quarterly and direct North Florida School of Special Education to invoice Step Up for students for tuition that is owed. I direct North Florida School to invoice either 100% of my funds, so if you're a 253, that's what you would choose, or up to $17,850 to be applied to tuition. That allows us to be able to utilize your funds to apply that towards tuition. Otherwise, we're going to be on the phone calling you, everybody, every quarter saying, can we spend your money? This is a much simpler way to do this. And it keeps a good understanding that you understand that the money is first to go towards tuition. If your student is a 254 and has an excess in tuition, then there are choices on here that if you want to use it for transportation, if you want to use it for horseback riding, you can designate those things and let us know that. But until we have conversation on how you want to utilize that, then we can't touch those funds for anything, okay? The other thing I think is important to understand is that, I don't know. Went out the window. I had a great thought. Really important. So glad I'm live. Oh my gosh.
Dr. Raines is very tired.
I'll let it out.
This is only the 4th time I've done this. Oh, I got it. It has to be spent. It has to be spent on something academic. So you can't use it for before school care or after school care.
Or lunches.
Or lunches, thank you. If you have excess funds, and you can use it for school uniforms. So if you purchase your child's uniforms, then you would submit the invoice to get reimbursed yourself for that. Okay? So that's something that, again, I'll just say it's a little bit of a hardship on the school because these are funds that we had gotten in the past, which has helped us to provide services like our art and our music and our therapies. We don't individually bill anybody for those services, and everybody is able to take advantage of that. But those are now your funds, and so if you wish to utilize them with any of these, please allocate it on this form and let us know. Know that if you do not use them, just as I alluded to earlier, the funds do roll over to the next year. So if your student has not used all of their funds by the time they are 22, they can continue to use them for vocational training, for vocational support, for other types of services. As long as you don't go 2 years without spending them, they are yours to use until you deplete the funds.
Is that rolling years? I mean,
Say that again?
is that rolling years? I mean, like you could still save them because you're getting new funds each time and they can use the old funds first. And
correct. So it all goes into one account. So if you have $5,000 left over, that $5,000 rolls into the next year and just accumulates. Unless you decide, you know, we're having some difficulties, we need to hire an ABA therapist, we need additional, we have a broken leg and we need some PT, we can utilize those funds for that type of thing. Any questions on here? Wow, awesome. So if you don't have any questions, I have the forms, I'm going to pass those out. If you're a 53 and you're not sure of your funding, you can just write on there that you're a 53 and circle the 100%, and I'll fill that funding amount in for you rather than us trying to figure out what everybody's is right now. If you're a 54 and you need to take this home to kind of think about it, feel free to do that. If you have questions about you know, what you can use the funds for, there are 4 pages in the FES handbook that tells you what you're able to use those funds for. Or if you have questions and say, gosh, I really wish you would start a tutoring program or this or that, let us know that because we're looking for ways to provide services for you. Okay? Yes?
I have a newbie question. The first one, we go to school a day early when you first start, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to send lunch? Are we going to talk about lunches or?
So I'm going to let Kim talk about lunches, but that first day is a 9 to 11. So there's no need to send lunch, and there is no reason, parents are not invited, sorry, but we want you to practice dropping your student off so they can get used to just coming through car line. We'll get them directed to their class. They'll have an opportunity to be in class, meet their teachers before other students join the next day. They basically will go and meet resource teachers, their art, their music, they'll go to the barn, they'll spend time in all of their classes then.
So is there two different lines, one for upper, one for lower?
Great question. So no, there are not two different lines. When you drop off, we ask all families to come through the entrance of the upper school, and you will go through the line. It moves pretty quickly, but there's just too much congestion to try to have people exiting and entering at the same place. So everybody will enter through the upper school entrance and go through the line down.
And then is there a mascot?
We are the Eagles.
We do have a couple of questions right now about the form for our virtual people. So are we going to email it?
We will either email it or attach it where you can download it and be able to print that out and return it to me.
Okay. And a non-FES-UA question is, what is the dress code for transition students?
So transition student dress code is really, I guess the best way to put it is school appropriate. So on the days that they are going to their job sites, they may have a uniform. So depending on where they're working, they may have a dress shirt that they're wearing for their place of volunteer employment. If not, just school appropriate clothing is what we ask for. Yes, sir.
Will there be a calendar emailed to us, and when is the first day?
Okay, so the first day for new students is August the 10th from 9 to 11. First full day for all students is August the 11th. There is a calendar. Is that already?
It
It's
is
on the
on
front
our,
of our, on the homepage.
it's on our home.
It's on the homepage of our
It's on
website.
the parent page, Facebook page too, and the website. It's on and then it's also on the school website.
Okay, thank you.
So Kim and Dawn, raise your hands. This is our PSO people, President. So I was doing a shout out for you guys to make sure that everybody joins the PSO and joins the PSO page. And these are ladies who keep things running smooth.
Just let everybody know about the email that will be coming for all families, just to go over, review everything.
So there will be an email that will be sent out that will review all of this information. And just wanted to have an opportunity to give you guys to ask questions, and we will have the form on that email as well. I wanted Kim to be able to talk about some changes with our lunch program real quick before we finish.
Sure. We have a phenomenal culinary program, and some of you may already know that. One of the things that we are changing this year is the way that we're ordering lunches. And so we previously ordered lunches through a program called MSB or My School Box. We are moving to a program called Boonly, and we will be sending information about how to sign up, but this is going to be a much more efficient way that you can order. It's going to allow drop-down menus. It's going to allow you to order a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance, a month, or even 3 months in advance, however you choose to. You're going to have options. You can choose from a variety of lunches. There will be 3 different sandwiches that you can choose from. We'll have a sandwich of the day and a hot lunch of the day. We also have all gluten-free options for either the sandwiches or the hot lunch, and that'll be all displayed on there. So it's going to be a much better way to order and allow you flexibility to order. For our new families, we ask our parents to order ahead of time for their students. All of our students go through a lunch line and collect their lunch, and just like you would at a typical school, but we just ask ahead of time that you're choosing what they're eating before they come to school. You are also able to pack a lunch, so it's not required that you buy a lunch, but that is an option for all of our parents too. The email for the instructions to sign up for lunch will go out at the end of next week, so you can sign up and then start ordering your lunches. So for the first day of school, for August 11th and 12th, please pack your lunch. The first day for lunches in the school will be August 15th, Monday, August 15th. So 11th and 12th, you bring your own lunch, and the 15th will be the first day for student lunch. Sorry, Dawn. Oh, sorry.
We have a question. If they come to eat with their child, can they buy lunch here that day?
Yes, so you will be, we also have a phenomenal cafe program, so parents can always have breakfast or lunch with us in our cafe, but they can also go through the line and order food through the cafe, or through the cafeteria. Yes.
I have a My School Bucks question. Are we going to use that for anything else here, or can we get rid of the app?
Yeah, so keep the app for now. Great question. So the question was, are we keeping My School Bucks for, so our returning families know that we use My School Bucks for registering for, at that point, or last year it was student lunches, for transportation, for clubs. We're going to try Boonly for student lunches, and we're going to transfer and do that one event at a time. And so if that goes well, which we have all the confidence in the world that it will, then we will start transitioning over. Perhaps in January we'll use clubs and do it, but keep that app for now. Yeah. Any other questions on lunches?
When do we register for clubs, like the acting?
So we will be sending out an email for clubs probably mid to end of August to register for clubs that will start in the beginning of September. Yeah, great question. Yes.
The cost for lunches and when we go out and do the orders, will you guys know what you're supposed to have? Because like if you come to the line, maybe like I want that.
Great question. Great question. So 2 questions. One was the price and the range for lunches, which they're ranging from $5 to $7 per lunch. And then the other question is, how do we know what the student ordered when we go through the line? So we have a really creative way. So the system is allowing us to do some really fabulous reporting. So teachers are going to be able to log in, see what their students have ordered. Then when it's time for lunch, the students will get a card, and the card will indicate either it's going to be their sandwich of the day or the hot lunch of the day, and then they will go through and order that way. The one thing that we are changing, we're also going to allow you to have a portion size. So we're going to have a small order and a regular size order. So if, for example, someone wants, instead of a full sandwich, a small portion will be a half sandwich. For our littles, that's going to be better because they might not eat a whole sandwich or an entire sandwich. Pizza Friday, which we will keep in and we will never get rid of. You will have your choices of 1, 2, or 3 slices of pizza. So that gives a little bit more flexibility if there's some hungry people, or if we just want to make sure that the student gets 1 pizza, so 1 slice. Is there a question over here? Yes.
My son will always bring his lunch to school. We bring it with, we're used to this, in coolers with ice packs, or do you guys have a fridge where you can put his lunchbox in?
His lunchbox will most likely be in his locker, so I would, yeah.
So the question was, if you bring your student's lunch, is it a cool lunch? Do we put it in a cooler with ice packs? So we do not refrigerate. So bring it in a cooler that the lunch will likely stay in the room or the locker. Dawn?
I just wanted to get a little tip. Sometimes the kids don't remember or know what they're getting for lunch, and sometimes they'll insist that they're not getting lunch or they are, and it's the opposite. So most of the students have a calendar in their binders, and so what I did for Jonathan was every day that I bought lunch, because he doesn't get it every day, I would write on that day exactly what he was getting and show it to him so that he would know and to try to lessen any confusion.
Okay. So pro tip from Dawn is that when you're ordering, or if it's helpful to order lunch, I think you're also going to be able to pull down a menu off the system, and then you can circle or highlight if it's helpful for your child to know what they're eating or having that day. Then you can put it in their binder and they will know what they're having. Helpful for them so they know that they're ordering lunch and not saying yes or no. But we will also have reports on our side as well.
And this is why Dawn is our PSO.
Yes,
president.
exactly. Yes. Lots of pro tips. If you have any question for pushing the PSO page, there are ask questions there. There's a great bank of resources.
Since you're talking about lunches, what happens if you forget to send your kid lunch?
Great question. So the question was if someone forgets to bring a lunch. We will always have food for your student. We will never not have something for them to eat. So what we will do is likely reach out to either make sure that there's obviously no allergies, that they can eat what we have provided. We'll reach out to you, we'll give them a lunch. The system allows us to put into your cart in the program a forgotten lunch. So then we can go ahead, give lunch, put a forgotten lunch, and next time you go into your cart, you can purchase it.
But email the teacher to let them know so that we have a little bit time heads up to prepare for that.
Prepare, yeah. So if you do remember that as you're driving away, that you've forgotten your lunch, you can Teams message or email your teacher and let them know. Good question.
Anything else coming in? I mentioned it.
Yeah, oh, you mentioned this, okay. I haven't seen anything
No
else, let me just
questions.
look at my text. Oh, yes. Any chance the Lunchables will be brought back? So as fun and as those were, we call them Munchables, they were not very popular. And so they didn't have a whole lot of sales at all. If we get a lot of requests, our culinary team is open to suggestions. So at this point, they're not on the calendar, but if we have a lot of people interested, we'll definitely consider it. And let me see if I have another text.
They're telling me that you mentioned a back-to-school night. Is that true?
There will be a, in August, the 23rd and the 25th is a parent back to school night.
Okay, so we will not meet any teachers then prior to that.
No. He's in high school, so no.
I'm sure we'll hear all about it.
I'm sure you will.
What day, how do we know which day we're gonna come to?
It's on the calendar.
Okay. No.
We have a couple more questions coming in. I'm trying to, not lunch related. Oh, actually one is, Harrison would like to know if the water slide is going to be available for the school year. She just did that to make me laugh. And, okay, so when will we know what class our student will be in and who their teacher is?
Awesome. Okay. So thank you for all of your patience in figuring out where your students are. I've been figuring it out too. So we do have that settled. Your teachers are returning on August the 1st, and they will be doing postcards and mailing them out to your students. So they will receive a postcard in the mail from their teacher, introducing themselves and letting them know what class they're in. Okay.
We have another FES-UA question. If you have funds in your account and then move to another state, do you relinquish those funds?
The question is, if you have funds in your account and then you move out of the state of Florida, do you relinquish those funds? The answer is yes, you do. These are funds from the state of Florida to be used here in the state for educational purposes. So if you move out of state, those funds go back to the Department of Education. I feel like I've been pretty much drilled. Got it.
So far, we're good. Last call for questions.
Okay, if you think of anything else that you don't know or need guidance in, please feel free to email me, drains@northfloridaschool.org, or give me a call. My extension is 1065, and I will be happy to help walk through this together. So again, expect there to be glitches. We just ask for patience and grace, and we will get through all of this together, okay? Yes?
The back-to-school nights are typically parents-only, right?
Yes, thank you, Dawn. The back-to-school nights, so you can plan accordingly. It is parents only. That's a time when you're going to have a lot of information being shared at you from your teachers And so it makes it a lot more difficult if we've got students present as well.
Would a big sister count too?
A big sister is welcome. All right, well, thank you so much for your time, both at home and here. We hope you guys enjoy your last week of summer, and we look forward to seeing your kiddos.